This week, there was a big hullabaloo on the internet about the late, great Eddie Guerrero. There were a lot of fans who made terrible takes like this here, calling Eddie Guerrero a B-plus player, and it caused Eddie Guerrero to trend on Twitter. I think he was one of the top 10 trends on Twitter this past week, and in a great move, almost the entire wrestling community came out in defense of Eddie Guerrero, and these clowns calling him a B-plus player and meaning it, and saying that he only got famous and got the notoriety after he died, which is ludicrous. So I'm not even going to ask you, is it ludicrous, Trevor? I'm just going to ask you, how ludicrous is it? Knowing what you know, you and I were both there. We both loved Eddie Guerrero when he was there. Knowing what we know about Eddie Guerrero, how ludicrous is it for someone to assert that he's a B-plus player?
To me, if you say that, you have to, first off, and this is a stretch even now because like he was good in WCW as well. But to say something like that, you only saw his early stuff in WCW. That's it. That's all you're basing that on. Because I mean, yeah, he was just getting a name for himself back then, so I can kind of understand where that comes from. But
that's just the early stuff. The Latino World Order was great.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you honestly saw his work, his body of work, there is no way you can say Eddie Guerrero was a B-plus player. Like, that's like saying, even though the stigma he carries now, that's like saying Benoit wasn't one of the greatest technical wrestlers ever. That's a lie.
It's like saying Jericho isn't one of the best wrestlers in the world or one of the greatest of all time.
Right, exactly. All three of those absolute lies. Like Eddie Guerrero probably was if you talk about top 10, he's probably in the top 10. He has to be. And if not top 10, depending on who you are, top 15, because he's no lower than that.
Let me just say this. So I want to attack the main thing I have a problem with here. B-plus player is subjective, right? You can think that Eddie Guerrero had a ceiling or whatever, right? That's whatever. Okay, you know what? That's subjective. Everyone has their opinions. No matter how shitty they are, you're entitled to them. But you're telling me that Eddie Guerrero, fans only hold him in such high regard because he died? That means you weren't watching. Trevor, I was 7 years old when Eddie Guerrero passed away. I was 7 years old when this man died. And I knew, and Eddie Guerrero was one of the biggest stars. He was one of the main reasons I watched wrestling. Guerrero, a 7-year-old noticed that. If you really think that Eddie Guerrero only got over because he died, then you don't know anything about wrestling. You don't know anything about Eddie Guerrero. You weren't there. You weren't watching. You didn't see his great promos against Brock Lesnar. You didn't see the fire that this guy had. You didn't see the buildup between him and his the cousin or the feud he had with his nephew Chavo Guerrero Jr. at Royal Rumble 2004. You didn't see the matches he had with Chris Benoit. You didn't see the match he had with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20. You didn't see the matches he had with JBL. You didn't see the matches he had with Batista. You didn't see the promos he cut with Batista. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about him in WWE at the top of his career.
You're not even talking about his early stuff that was also...
I'm telling these idiots here exactly why he was. Because Eddie Guerrero, you know why he won the belt, and you know why fans love him? Because he was the most over person on the roster for almost an entire year. There was nobody else from getting more reactions to the promos than Eddie Guerrero. And I'm sorry, it's ludicrous, it's asinine, it's absolutely blasphemous, as Stephen A. would say, to say that.
But that's the point I was making. Like, Omar, I totally agree with you. Like, you're just talking about his WWE career, and you can go back even further than that. You can talk about his runs in New Japan, his runs in AAA, his runs, dude. He's had so many runs. Like him and his family helped change and change the state of lucha libre or wrestling. Like, if you don't have part of lucha libre without the Guerrero family, like, come on, like, Are we gonna be serious right now? You're gonna say one of the greatest families. Remember, one of the greatest wrestling families.
Forget the look. All respect to the Guerrero family, Trevor. For a second, forget the family. Talk the Eddie Guerrero. Talk about
Exactly.
Eddie Guerrero.
I mean, yeah, he was probably one of the most notable. Yeah, he was.
He
But
was the most notable. The whole thing
it's
is
just,
like
it's ridiculous.
to call him
It's
a B plus player, and on top of that, say he only was over because he died is it's not
it's
only
disrespectful.
it's insulting. It's insulting and
It
it's
is.
stupid. It's stupid. The worst, you know what the worst part about it is for these people, Trevor? They look stupid saying that. And you know what? As toxic as the wrestling community is on Twitter, and as much as we disagree about everything, I was so glad to see that everybody kind of came together and like defended Eddie against his BS. And you know, it wasn't anyone notable tweeting this out. I'm just glad that it wasn't allowed because Eddie
I'm actually
Guerrero,
surprised Sasha Banks didn't say anything because
yeah.
that was her mentor. That was who she modeled herself after.
And Eddie Guerrero isn't allowed around to defend himself, but I'm so glad basically 99% of the wrestling community said, nope, cap, and made them shut up. So kudos to the wrestling community. You won this day. You finally did something beneficial for humanity. Congratulations, wrestling fans. We're not terrible all the time. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.